First of all, let me begin by thanking you for organizing this important call. I speak here today basically as a defense analyst. I'm not Armenian, I'm not Turkish, I'm not even Christian. And so I'm speaking purely from an outside perspective, analyzing the situation as I see it. Now, in Washington, if one was going to be a Turkish apologist, there's always been an excuse until this point for Turkey's behavior. We could say when it came to Greece or Cyprus that it was an economic dispute or a border dispute of some sort. One could say when it came to Iraq, where I'm now speaking to you from, or Syria, that Turkey was trying to counter terrorism. Many people on the ground didn't believe it, and there was a great deal of ethnic cleansing. But if you wanted to see things Turkey's way, there was always that excuse, which diplomats in the State Department and Turkey's friends in the think tank world and elsewhere would always draw upon. When we look at what's going on in Artsakh now, there absolutely is no excuse. All pretense has been stripped away from Turkey here because Turkey has no historical claim to Artsakh. They have no history with Artsakh. If you want to look at pre-modern history, you can go back to the Iranians and Persians and so forth, but Turkey has had no claim. It seems clearly now that Turkey's sole motivation in helping Azerbaijan create these war plans and in encouraging these war plans and in shipping militiamen into this area has been purely animus, not just to Armenians as a people, but to Christianity as a religion. And if we look at this upon the broader context of what Turkey's doing, then it becomes clear that perhaps we shouldn't we shouldn't accept Turkey's excuses anywhere with regard to Greece, with regard to Cyprus, with regard to the Yazidi areas in Iraq and Syria, because it appears very clear that what Turkey's motivations are as malign as can be. There should be no excuse given. Now, in my brief time allotted, let me just address the second part of this question, which is with regard to whether Turkey is using militias. Last year, I had the opportunity to go to Kobane in northern Syria, which was where the Syrian Kurds broke the resistance against the Islamic State. And if you talk to anyone in Kobane, the stories you hear is that Turkey allowed its border to be opened to allow Islamic State fighters to try to outflank the Kurds at the height of the siege of Kobane, which ended up being the turning point for the defeat of the Islamic State when that siege was broken. What we now see is increasing numbers of not just accusations that the militiamen from Syria, which Turkey is using, we're not just seeing that there is the accusation that many of these are drawn from the Islamic State, but we can now name at least 80 of these militiamen that are deployed in Libya, that are deployed in Syria, and perhaps that we will soon see with regard to Artsakh. And we know exactly who they were and what they were doing during their time in the Islamic State. On top of which, let's be clear, we know from interviews with detainees that Turkey has been actively supporting the Islamic State in every shape and form. Myself, when I still was able to go to Turkey, I could go through the Istanbul airport and see people and hear people coming back from fighting with the Islamic State, basically considering Istanbul their R&R. So when we look at the broad picture, it's important that we not allow, and I'm concluding now, it's important that we not allow people to compartmentalize and say that this is just a problem with regard to Armenia and Azerbaijan or Artsakh. What we really do see is that Turkey is on the warpath, and it's going to get worse as Erdogan tries to deflect attention from his own failing economy, and as he nears the 100th anniversary of the Turkish Republic and wants in many ways to replace Ataturk's legacy with his own. With that, let me return to the panel. Thank you for allowing me my opening comments.